So yeah, you believe in the law of attraction, right?
I do. Yeah, I do.
What stories can you tell me about law of attraction experience of you?
Oh, just, mostly meeting people, and then sometimes I've thought I would still meet them again, because I have met them again in other countries or random places, even if I didn't meet them the first time, for example. So I'm thinking, oh, well, maybe I am supposed to meet these people for some reason, and some of them have become my best friends. And I just think sometimes some of the things that have happened, I'm like, oh, is that even a coincidence? Like, it's very, very interesting to me, one. So,
What story stands
yeah.
out based on law of attraction and manifestation and vision?
Um, Mostly just because, yeah, when I meet people, I feel like I've quit something and I thought, oh, I'm not going to do this anymore. And then something randomly, actually, this happened. I randomly got an email about something to do with modeling, like years after I had decided to stop for a while. And then I randomly got this email, and then it opened me up to all these other experiences. And I thought, I'm just going to do it all. And it's everything since then has just happened, and it's been really interesting in the way that it has happened. And so I just really believe that everything happens for a reason sometimes.
And were you like thinking about modeling job and opportunities before that email came?
I was, and I was actually sad about it, because at the time, in like the city I was in, I was like, oh, there's not much happening here for it, so maybe I'll have to go do something else. And then when I got this email, which I had sent to a person about a year before, and they replied to it a year later, and I thought, that's really interesting. You know what? I'm going to just take it. And since then I've just been traveling the world. So
So
that's
you
just one
find that you
example. There's
find that
so
when
many others.
you find that when you let go of something, then it comes to you, and when you focus on it, it doesn't come to you. Is that what you find?
Yes, I do agree. I think if you focus too much, you're overthinking, and then you're forcing things, then it kind of makes you get more anxious about ensuring the outcome, instead of just letting it happen in its own way. People don't expect things to come to them in a different way to how they're thinking. So they really should just, if you can let go, it is very, very hard to do, but if you can just sort of sit back and just go, yep, this is what I want, it's just going to happen somehow. If you're already trying to make way and, taking the steps towards it, you shouldn't focus too much on every little detail, because otherwise you're just going to get too agitated with everything, I feel,
Yeah, because
in my
you
experience.
try and envision how you want something to go based on the perfect scenario or past experiences, and every situation is unique and different. It's like when you put money on the roulette, you're trying to do it based on past patterns, but when it comes in, it has no reflection to the one that's coming before. And yeah, when you're tense and you're focusing on something and you want something so bad, you're stressed, you're nervous, you're anxious, and you're all tense, and the energy can't flow through you. So it's like it's blocked. Whereas when you relax and you just let the energy flow through you, then the energy goes out and brings it to you. So that's why when you let it go, and it is really hard to let it go because you feel like you've got no control over anything. But
Yeah, and you
if you
don't want to
manage to,
give up,
yeah,
like you feel like you would be.
if you manage to let go, then you make room for this new energy to come in. And it's happened so many times when I've done things in the past, like years, months before, and then I'm like, God, I need this. I need something. Like I need this plan. I need this way to make money. I need this job or whatever. And then, as you said, the email comes through from something you applied a year ago. All of a sudden, I get an email or a call or something happens that was ages away, and it's like, wow, that person has connected to my thoughts somehow because it's happened right now when I've thought about it. So there's no coincidence. It's just when you understand how it happens, and it's just energy and magnetism, it's amazing to think that, wow, that person suddenly came across my CV, came across my video I sent, came across my email and responded right now in real time. And, you're the other side of the world. And I find that
Yeah,
fascinating.
that has happened a few times to me, and I just laugh now. Even last year, I remember pushing for this particular job so hard, thinking I'd already got it. I'd already met the client like 3 times, and I thought I'm just going to get this. And then all of a sudden they decided to like end the job, and it didn't end up going through. And I just thought, oh my gosh, I've pushed this so hard. And then the next day, instead, I got something in place of that was better. And I'm just thinking, I have to not push. So yeah, that's what I would say for law of attraction. If you want it to work, you can't really force. Like, people force, I think, with nervousness and anxiety behind it. If you force, or if you just let it happen, like kind of thinking, yep, it's going to happen, like with acceptance more so, then I think you have much better chance of getting what you want that way.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like we as humans feel we have to take physical action to get stuff done. And if you're not doing anything, you're lazy or whatever. We feel we have to move, even if we're not going anywhere. We feel by moving we're going somewhere, but actually you're going in the wrong direction. So you might as well have done nothing. And we as humans don't understand there's another world with us, energy, God, universe, whatever. No one can see that, so no one knows it exists. And I know for a fact that this is actually in control. The energy is in control. I can physically move towards as many things as I want, apply for as many jobs as I want, go out and do this, do that. It doesn't work. There's an energy involved, because that energy is controlling that person's decision to do this and do that. So as much as you physically do something, it doesn't do anything. And I've learned to just accept that. If my gut says do nothing, do nothing. Because if I start to do something physical and I feel like I'm moving in doing something, I'm not going anywhere, because what I knew was going to happen happens, aka nothing happens from this physical action. And then when I just relax and do nothing, then it comes to me. So yeah, you have to do nothing to make it happen, rather than do something to make it happen. Now, if obviously you're building a house, you need to put physical work in, otherwise it won't build. But when you're attracting something that doesn't exist yet, often a person or an idea or whatever, that has to come to you. You can't necessarily physically start applying on websites, Facebook and stuff. It would just somehow find its way to you. And it only happens when you let go, because energy controls everything, and it controls the physical outcomes. And it, like, you have no control, basically. Your thoughts are actually what's controlling stuff. Like, as you said, you pushed too hard for this job because you've met them before physically. So it's like, well, she knows me, she'd rather work with me. That's bollocks, because she has a vision of what she's looking for, which may not be you at this moment. And you're like, well, I know you, so it's perfect. But that's not how it works. There's other factors involved, because this job might be a dead end job. There's no one there that can make you have opportunities from there onwards. Whereas this other person is connected, and there's more opportunities from that. So if you go there, then you lead to that. So it's like merging, like a bottle of water, a bottle floating in the ocean, just going where the current takes it. And then it will suddenly go down a whirlhole, and you're trying to force that way, but it's like the current's pulling you this way. So yeah, universe is in control, and I've learned that no matter what you do physically, the outcome is still the same. So when you understand the outcome is still the same, you realize you just have to know what you want, do nothing, and take action when you feel the need to, as opposed to taking action that you think you should be doing, like applying for jobs online or whatever, because actually it's a load of nonsense. There's another power in place.
Yes, I agree. It does come to you. You just have to not push and overthink. Your ear okay?
So how do you normally go about getting jobs? Do you normally just like trust the universe? Do you normally just randomly go out, or do you like apply for stuff, or is it a bit of everything?
Oh, with the modeling world?
Yeah, like this, like, yeah, that type of, when you want something, how do you manifest it normally?
Well, I mean, if it's, something within your grasp and something realistic, and you know the people that can make it happen for you, you are around it, you already say you're in the industry you want to be in, but you want something like a promotion or something. I mean, the people, you can always just put it out there, make a suggestion, see what happens, or talk to them about it, and then it's in somebody else's mind what you want, and then they have that they can help you with that.
Yeah, like when you
Yeah.
go, for example, like when you're on set or something, or you're in a modeling shoot, you've got everyone there all on the same frequency, kind of wanting the same thing. They're trying to get something here, and they're trying to network and get something after the job. And yeah, if you just like flow and naturally let the
Yeah.
energy take you towards some random person, like you're thinking, okay, that's the director. I need to get into his books to have a coffee with him to see who he knows. But then you've got a little cameraman there who actually knows more people because he was on set with somebody else who's got an even bigger production. So you're trying to go there because you think it's there, and actually the energy will randomly take you to him for whatever reason. He's like, can you just pass me that book? Yeah, sure. So what are you doing today? Oh, I'm a model for this. And then it's like, oh, okay,
Yeah,
well, I
that's
worked
true.
for Harry Potter last year. Oh, amazing.
Harry Potter.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah,
No, I would love that. Gosh, I love Harry Potter. But yeah, no, you're totally right. Like really, it's also the same. How you say with flow, because when you are on a shoot, you have the way you work well with other people is just to flow and be relaxed. You have to work, say the photographer and model have to work together. It's not about one or the other. It's to produce like an advertisement for the client, say. So you have to move and flow and trust everyone. And like I think with that kind of like good energy happening, things happen from that. So if you're creating like good work, people are going to say, okay, we want to use you again, or we might want to use you for this, because everything just works well. Like you don't want to have a diva or someone sucking up to somebody, because that happens quite a lot as well. And you're right in saying people always want to know who the director is, but it's actually the other people around that no one knows who they are, but they're the ones who make the decisions. They're the ones that will pick you for them, like they're the director's advisors, say. So
absolutely, yeah. So like obviously being positive makes you feel good. It makes others feel good if you're positive, if you're
definitely.
complimentary, if you're nice. So you've got a load of people who are negative and just attitude and think they're big I am or whatever. And then you've got some person who's not that big, maybe not have the same skills, but they're really positive, and you make them feel good. They're the types of person where you go for a coffee with afterwards or go for a drink with afterwards. It's not about necessarily who's going to make me the most money, because it all comes down to how you feel, as long as they're making the money for the client. But then it's actually about the social side. It's about having good time on set, and positive people will always win, even though they may not be as good looking, they may not have as good acting skills. That's what it's all about. There's another force at play, energy, positivity. And if you look at all the negative people who are just like attitude and they think they should already have this job or whatever, and you look at the positive person just happy to flow, listen to the director, and they're in harmony with all the positive people, and then opportunities come from that, because positive people surround with positive people.
Definitely
And if
does,
they all want the
yeah.
same people, then the secret is not to act necessarily good, not to be really good looking, to be positive, because it's all about the energy that actually has the power, not like the skill, even though you need the skill kind of, but it's more
Yes.
than just having the skill.
Yeah, and trusting the vibe of what you feel with someone as well. That goes such a long way. Like for someone negative and pushy, maybe you'll get like a good money job or something, but quickly, but you will never get one again. Especially when it's
Exactly.
a small world and everyone knows, of people, people talk, people hear things, you don't want to work with someone who's difficult ever in any industry. I mean, it happens and you come across it all the time, but yeah, it really makes your life a lot harder
Yeah,
having to
like
deal with
to them
them.
they see it as like, um I'm the famous one, and you're the one who's gonna pay me. So it's like, you need me. I'm gonna demand what I want. But that person is a human
Mm,
being. Their job is
mm,
no different to an accountant or a banker. It's just in TV. So they still have to do
yeah,
paperwork, fill
it's
out
still a
stuff,
job. Yeah, yeah.
and people don't see it like that. Hence why the industry is crowded with dickheads and people who think they're big I am, and then the more they think they're big I am, the more that they don't get on with people, and the more attitude they have, and they create themselves a big hole. And yeah,
Mm,
the secret is energy. Like people can't see the energy, but it's there. It's attracting you to other people in that room, whether you like it or not. You choose to go that way rather than that way. That's because there was, a person there who's actually going to leave this job and be casting for a film or something, or he's got to deal with Topshop or whatever. And you're thinking, well, I don't know who he is. He's the cameraman. This director's worked with, I don't know, Harry Potter, but actually he is got connections to Topshop, which means that you can model for Topshop. So again, trusting your energy, go take a piss down that corridor because it felt right. And then you realize actually that corridor was blocked off. And it's like, wow, well, was that meant to be blocked off? No, that person just put a cone there because there was a spillage. So it's like, if that person hadn't spilt their coffee, there wouldn't have been a cone there saying you can't go to the toilet there, which means I wouldn't have had to go to this one.
That way.
But then this Topshop director man was over there, and it's like, wow, all these factors had to be perfectly in line in order for me to get there. And then you go to that job, and then there's many, many doors opened up there, because then the Topshop person used to work for Zara and, you know, all these other brands. And it's like, wow, that happened because of that spillage. And then it's amazing, like when you go back in time.
Isn't it funny?
Yeah, when you go back in time, you understand all the factors that had to play out. And it's like, well, if that didn't have happened, would that have happened? Would I have met him down another corridor? And the answer is you don't know, because you're never going to know. You just have to understand that that is just how things play out.
Yeah. I had that recently happen to me, actually. I was walking in the city, and then, I don't know, I actually had a funny feeling. I was like, oh, I feel like walking the other direction. Maybe it's a bit quicker, or maybe it's a prettier view. That's literally just what I was thinking. So I kind of just mid-walk turned and walked around the other corner to the other direction. I bumped into someone I hadn't seen in about 10 years. And yeah, it was just so interesting, because I had also been like thinking of them, being like, oh, I wonder what they're up to, you know, like similar world, whatnot. And then I just happened to run into them. I'm like, I literally wasn't even going to walk down this direction. I just happened to decide that 30 seconds before.
Yeah, so that exact same thing happened on the weekend. I was out in the town getting my train home, but the train was delayed. So I was thinking about getting some food from a restaurant. Now, there's 2 restaurants in the city. One restaurant was a bit out of the way, as in I didn't want to go there and have to come back. And then all of a sudden I was aware that there was another one. And I went into that restaurant and I saw someone who I've not seen for 6 years, right? And I went up to her and I was like, hello, what are you doing? Blah, 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 blah. I said, oh, I'm doing podcasts. I want to have my talk show, take over Jimmy Fallon's talk show type of thing. And she was like, do you know about the law of attraction? I said, of course. I know about quantum physics, quantum entanglement, law of attraction, the secret, power of the mind. And then she started listing off all the stuff she knows. So she pretty much knows all the stuff that I know on that level, the secret, the power of the mind, etc. Double slit experiment, that type of thing. Do you know that? Do you know what that is? Yeah.
What did you say? What was that experiment?
Double slit experiment.
Double slicks? No.
So basically,
what that is?
If you focus on something, you change the outcome. So the machine shot a particle against the wall, and obviously we'd expect it to hit the wall, right? But when you observed it, when you looked at it, it became a wave, and that particle just separated. So again, if you focus on something, it doesn't happen, and this is the science behind it. So if you trust that you'll meet this person, this actor, this agency, this director, you're not focusing on it. So you put it out there and it comes back. But when you focus on it, you change that particle and it becomes a wave, a vibration instead. And things can only come back as a particle. So when you observe it, it's a wave and it can only come back as a particle, which is the science behind why when you focus on something, it doesn't work. And then as soon as you let go focusing on it, it comes back almost immediately. So anyway, I met this person there and we used to speak like 6 years ago. And she said to me, I think I remember you talking to me about this, because I used to pick her up to go to the pub. She was like, that's when you were becoming woke, as AKA, that's when I was becoming aware of all this stuff. And I remember just waffling on to her about all this stuff in the car on the way to the pub. And what's amazing is that she now knows all this 7 years later. We've not seen each other. And then she was like, give me your number. So we're going to have a chat like today or something. She said she's going to call me. But it's amazing how I was going to go to that restaurant and I decided to go to this restaurant instead. So she's a frequency, she's a vibration. Again, you don't know why you're going, why I didn't choose to go there, why I went there. And then she's just sat there picking up a takeaway. And I'm like, wow, we knew each other 7 years ago when I was becoming woke. 7 years later, she knows all this stuff. And it's just amazing when things like that happen. And it's just a law of attraction. It's like, wow,
it is.
It really makes me like, it's just amazing.
Yeah, it really is. Some of the things I'm just thinking, they have to be fated, because they're just too weird, or you bump into people, in the weirdest places, or as I said earlier, you never think you're going to see them again, or you just feel like if you didn't meet them the first time, you still bump into them the second time. So it's like maybe you are supposed to know these people.
What do you think is fate? What is your definition of fate?
I would say it's just, something that's destined for you, something that is just supposed to happen for you. You can't really think about it too much.
And do you think that
What's
fate,
yours?
so you're saying that it's supposed to happen, do you think that you physically have to do something and take action, or is it like it's already written in the stars? And then what is your interpretation of written in the stars? Is God doing it? Have you lived this life before?
I do feel like it's maybe already written for you, some things. I would say it's just really energy based. I mean, the whole world and universe is energy. We have, gravity and all that stuff. I think things just kind of, you become a bit of a magnet towards some things, and it just keeps happening for you.
Yeah. See, I don't believe that like life is written for you, or God's written it for you.
No,
or,
I don't think
or there's a
so
past
when you're
life.
born or anything. No. I'm
But
not so sure about past lives. I went to a psychic once. They told me I had a past life, but that was the first time I'd ever thought of it before.
so on that same topic, if you are a certain frequency, right, people who are creative, want success, money, fame, whatever, they're at a certain frequency. They can handle most people's energies, and they think their energy is bigger than everyone else's, so they become the leader figure, right? If you are at that frequency, you also attract other people at that frequency. So you could say, okay, if I want to be famous, it involves acting, singing, dancing, stand-up, modeling, presenting, right? It's like the whole shebang. Now, you could say, well, life isn't written, right? But if you are on a certain frequency, you will attract other people on that frequency who happen to be either presenting, acting, dancing, whatever, right? So you could say, right, well, if life is planned out, I was always destined to do this. Or once you hit a frequency, you will naturally attract all these people, and that industry is already based from past experiences of all these people. It's like, well, do I particularly want to do presenting or acting? No, I want to be a model. But the chances are, it's because it's all part of the same industry, it will happen. So imagine that you're frequency 3, acting's frequency 3.3, presenting's 3.6. When you do all this stuff, it leads to that. And it's just your energy expanding, your mind expanding. So you raise your energy, you become their energy. So if they were a presenter and they were a model, their energy increased to that point. So you again will attract and increase to that point. So take away like humans, energy is always going to do the same thing. Energy is always going to attract the same. It's just in physical terms, it's acting or singing or dancing or modeling. But it's not like God's written this life for you and that you should be a model, then a presenter, then an actor. It's just that that frequency is attracting the same frequency, which happens to be
it just
acting,
keeps
singing
on
after the
coming and
modeling.
happening.
And it's the same for past lives. I don't believe there's past lives. So when you think that you've had a past life or you're reincarnated, essentially it's other people years ago who were on that frequency that you are now. For example, when they died, they would have absorbed all this energy. So when they're born, their frequency 0, and then when they die, they're say frequency 80, right? Let's just say a frequency every year that they're born, right? Obviously you'll say, I don't know, 25 or whatever, okay? Your frequency 25. So when you die, you'll be frequency 80, right? Which means you'll be attracting the thoughts of other people who were on frequency 80. Now, let's say that the frequency 80 is a very high frequency, which most people never get to, right? Most people go to work, they come home, they're on frequency level, say 30. So
it would go up and down half the time.
Yeah, so past lives, when you become aware of like this past life or whatever, I believe you're simply tuning in to someone else on that frequency who might be alive now across the other side of the earth, or somebody who has died, could be many, many, many years ago, but they were at a frequency, right, based on knowledge, wisdom, and awareness. And it just so happens that as you are evolving through your life, for example, you're only a quarter through your life, you are tuning into the frequency that they were at some point in their life. And as you evolve, your energy increases, which means you can attract the thoughts of other people that have been and gone. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does a little, yeah. But what about the children? You know how there's always children that say they have reincarnated as someone from the past and things, and they're reciting things that no one would know, like no 4-year-old would know, and things like that.
Yeah, so it's the same thing, right? So, for example, imagine that, say, 100 years ago, everyone's energy frequency went up to, say, 60, for example, right? But there was this one person whose energy frequency was 80, right? Let's just say he was a businessman, so he had higher energy, right? So back then, people's energy was at level 60. The universal energy was, say, frequency 60 then, right? And as time evolves, everyone at 60, for example, dies. Then you've got the kid who is now born at energy 0, but in terms of the universe, it's actually 61, for example, right? So you've got all these people, they die at frequency 60, okay? The next person who's born is going to be 0, of course. He's going to have no energy, but in terms of the universe, it's just another cycle of energy in the universe. And now this person's frequency 61. Right, so as he is evolving to become 4 years old, his energy has now gone from 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, right? So he's 4 years old. He's picking up all these thoughts of this war hero, this war veteran, this 80-year-old man who used to have this life. So he's got his nan like, oh, my Arthur's out there somewhere. This nan's 80 years old, right? Comes across this boy who's 4 years old talking about this energy, this personality of, for example, that lady's dead husband who died
like
a year ago.
Sensing their spirit.
Yeah, who died a year ago. So this 4-year-old, okay, is 4. But in terms of energy frequency, the Arthur guy died 4 years ago. His energy was, say, 60, right? The universe is now, the energy is now 61, 62, 63, 64, okay? So as I said, most people are energy just 60, right? But this Arthur guy, he had higher energy. So his energy was, say, 65 or 66. So when this 4-year-old's energy becomes frequency 66, he's now tuning into Arthur, who died 4 years ago. So he's tuning into the thoughts of that person. Like, our thoughts aren't our own. Like, you think about people, that's not your thought. That's because someone else is thinking about you. Now, if you look at your sofa and think, this is a tacky sofa, I need to get another sofa, that's your thought. But when you start thinking about food or people or ideas or a director or someone who worked on a shoot years ago, that's often not your thought, because your thought's based on your 5 senses, what you can see, touch, hear, and smell now. Anything else is someone else. So this kid is not necessarily the reincarnation of Arthur. It's just his frequency now is the same as Arthur's when Arthur died. So he's tuning into his thoughts, picking up all of his thoughts. And as Arthur becomes as the 4-year-old kid becomes 5 years old, his frequency changes from 6-4 to, say, 6-5. So now that Arthur's spirit is no longer in tune with him. And if somebody else was on 6-5, he'd be tuning into that person, right? But John who died 5 years ago. Or if no one else is on that frequency, then he's just going to be himself again. And those thoughts of reincarnation will just fade away. And he'll be 20 years old, and his mum will say, do you remember when you thought you were the reincarnation of this Arthur guy? He's speaking about all this war stuff and how did you know about that? And the nan was like, that was my Arthur. How does he know this? He must be the reincarnation. Well, if you understand what thoughts are, you don't necessarily have to be the reincarnation of a physical person. You are a frequency, like a radio, and you tune into that frequency at that time.
That is true. You are like a radio frequency.
Yeah, like...
That's so crazy, your explanation. I'm glad you got that out.
But do you understand what I'm saying?
To get your head around. Yeah, I do.
Did I explain it clearly?
I know what you mean. Yeah,
I hope everyone else listening knows what I mean. So really, nothing's real. If every physical thing we see is based on one man's consciousness, aka thoughts.
Yeah, a lot of people say that. Like, your thoughts become things. They create your reality. They create what's around you.
Yeah, if you take away all the things that are made by a vision or an idea, there's nothing here apart from just trees and ocean and rock and animals. So this is why anything can be achieved by thought, because it's already been created by someone else who was on your frequency but just kept going. So if you are that frequency, then you're going to, as long as you keep going, you'll get to where the other person was, because they had to come to your frequency in the first place. You know, it's the same cycle, it's the same pattern, maybe not the same exact person, because there's other people on that frequency, but it's the same cycle. And that's why when you flow and just know that you want to do acting, presenting and modeling, whatever, it will happen. You'll naturally go to the toilet and there'll be someone having a poo next to you as a director for a film. And like, so that's just
have some small talk in the loo.
Can you pass me the bogger? I've run out. Yeah, she passes it underneath. That's just how it works. But when you try and physically focus on stuff and change stuff, you're focusing on something that you think exists, but you have to understand that that only existed because that person who got there trusted their intuition and were just guided there. So you're thinking, how do I get there physically by looking? That's not how it works, because they'll tell you, they just let it go anyway, and it happened. It's the law, and no one knows it.
Exactly. You can't focus on how things happen, otherwise it just doesn't. You're blocking it for yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like when you clench, you know, taking a shit, right? When you clench, you can't shit out, because imagine like, you know, the bottom of the arsehole's here.
I don't think about that too much, really, either.
You don't, or you do?
I said I don't think
it's
about
exactly
that
why people have constipation, because imagine like this is the bottom of the arsehole. You've got the poo here, right? If you relax, your muscles will just naturally work its way and clench it together, and it'll clench and it'll clench and it'll clench, and it's out. But we sit on the toilet, we're already clenching. So the shit's up here, the arsehole's here. You're clenching, you've now squashed all the shit together, and you're clenching, so it can't go anywhere. Like, you blocked it because it can't come
just
through.
Why you got to let things go, let it happen.
So if you unclench, right, you unclench, that shit can now flow in its own time, and you just have to relax, one contraction like a baby, and pop, out comes the baby, right? It's the same example. That is exactly how everything works in life. We clench because we think we're ready, and the universe is like, mate, I'm not ready to shit. Just sit on that bog. Just relax. I will do the work. I will push, contract where I need to, and all of a sudden, out. It's the same. Like, yeah, you look at animals giving birth to babies. Animal just is like, doesn't go into labour.
They don't think about too much, do they?
Exactly. Doesn't go into labour. Doesn't like spend 24 hours sitting on the floor.
Survive, like, really.
Yeah. Like when we go in hospital, we sit in hospital for 24 hours and we're in pain taking all this stuff because the doctor said we need to be in hospital. In terms of nature, that baby will pop out when it's ready. That animal will give birth to the giraffe when it's ready. So we are no different. So when we feel the need to give birth, then we push. We don't need to go in hospital, take all this medication like 3 days in advance and then get a cesarean because it won't come out. That's not how nature works. Everything's forced. And nature already knows what the fuck it's doing.
That's true. You're right. Even the little baby, like baby giraffes, baby elephants, the first thing they do as soon as they're born is get up. Gazelles, first thing they do is run, because their instinct is to learn how to run, because that's what they're going to be doing their whole life.
Exactly. Like, we're trying to
they
plan
don't question anything.
Yeah, we're trying to plan when we take a poo. We're trying to plan when the baby's born. You look at the animal, the cows in the field, it just shits when it wants to shit. Like, it just shits, right? The animal, the gazelle, pops out of the vagina when it does. It doesn't like go and think, oh, I think I'm going to give birth soon. It goes under the tree and then stays there. No, it just goes about its day, and then when it's ready, pop, out it comes. And it's the same for, you know, any vision, any idea. Things will happen. But the hard part is knowing the knowledge. Anyone can do it, but it's the hard part is getting that knowledge in the first place, and then trusting. If I don't pick my kid up from school, will it come home safely, or will it get attacked? That's the hard part. And I remember when I took this risk and I just let go of everything and I trusted things would happen. Every single thing happened, but it was hard when I first did it. And then when I realized, wow, this is happening, I had like experience in it. So I had experience in that anxious nervousness of, fuck, if I let this go, will this happen? And then you sort of think, remember the last time? It was all fine. It happened. Trust, let go. And it did. And then you sort of think, wow, holy shit, amazing. I feel like God.
It is scary to trust, though. And that's one of the first steps that you have to take. A lot of people find it easier to remain comfortable or in some sort of comfort zone, because it is scary to take a leap into figuring out what it is you do really want and what makes you happy. That's really hard to find, and a lot of people feel like they have a lot of things that would set them back, so they can't go, say, and travel for 3 months. They've got stuff here to do, or they've got kids, but really, like, if you really want to do it for yourself, you can make it happen, or else you're going to live, resenting things and living in regret if you don't try and trust yourself.
Yeah, so many people, they don't they like, if you study people who want things so bad, you look at their life, it's a mess. They're destructive. They beat themselves up how they want something and they can't get it, and my friend gets it, why should she get it? And you become hateful to that person, and then you look at them and you're like,
had to stop hanging around with some people. Like, I felt very drained physically and mentally being around some people with that mentality before.
yeah, so obviously you're successful, whatever, and people don't like that, because they look at their lives and it's not the same as your life, for example, and then they either resist or they encourage, and they will only encourage if they're on the same level as you, and
if they're happy
understand.
for you and happy for themselves. Yes.
And if they're pulling you down, it's because they don't like the fact that you've got something they haven't got, and they pull you down so you become the same as them, and actually that's cancerous for you. So you've got to cut ties with those people, if they can't change, or they can't change. And when you cut ties and your energy now springs up another level, you're on another frequency, and there's more people up there on your level, so you've lost one and you've gained two, which then comes down to trusting the unknown, which is, if I take this risk to do this, is the outcome going to be worth it? And I can say from experience, every time I've trusted my gut and I've let go of the past, it's always replaced with something even better. Even though what you wanted, even though what you had, you think, oh, this is amazing. If you let go of that, something better comes. And you can only learn through experience of trial and error. It's very scary to just suddenly just jump in your car and start driving and thinking, oh, I'm going to meet this director. It's like, oh, well, how the fuck? What the fuck? You can't just get in your car and drive, and then what, you're going to bump into him in the petrol station? Yes, exactly that. I will. That is what happens.
Never know.
If you don't know the plan, if you don't have like a path written out, then you feel nervous. So you just stick back to your old pattern. Like, I wanted to do a podcast with someone, and I just got on the train, went to London, knew I'd find this person, and I came across this person in Leicester Square just randomly. I went to Trafalgar Square. I got the feeling to go back to Leicester Square, and then he was there. So I trusted my gut, and he was there. And then we did our first podcast together, and he knows everything that I know.
Awesome.
So that's the same as jumping in your car, meeting a director at the petrol station. You don't know how or where. You just got to trust your gut. If your gut says go to the shopping supermarket now, if it says go to town, apply for this job, see a friend, there's a reason.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I do wish that the people that do bring others down, like, it's really no big deal. Just they should follow their dreams like the other people are following theirs. I mean, you're only on this earth for, say, 90 odd years, hopefully more, but it's quite a short time. So you don't want to have to think about when you're 90, oh, I wish I did this, I wish I did that, because you don't have much time at all.
Again, it's too easy to say, I wish these people focused on them.
Definitely.
When you say these people, like, people aren't just one person. They're not just people, right? They are two different vibrations. They are negative energy or positive energy. And then they've got a different biology in them compared to some people, right? There's not just one form of man, one form of person. It's not as easy as saying, why can't they focus on their dreams? Because they are a vibration, let's say negative vibration, surrounded by negative vibrations and energy.
Their
family, their friends, their colleagues, they only know that life. They do not know this other life. So unless someone comes in and teaches them this life and spends years really sucking them out and making them see this life, they're just going to suck back into the pattern.
Yeah.
So
but they're giving themselves a limitation in that way. They're not. Yeah, they're just closed off to what they could potentially have. But then when you have grown up in these circles, it just continues.
So that's not what I'm saying. It's like, these people don't have a choice. It's like, if you have a field full of zebras, a field full of giraffes, a field full of pigs, you can put the pig in with the giraffe. He's naturally not going to feel the same as them. He's going to go back to the field where he came from. These people are a vibration, and a vibration is powerful. Like, you can't stop it. These people always revert back to that life, because the energy is the same as them, even though they know there's £1,000,000 here and success here in a bigger house. Like, they could grab that money, but then they'll just spend it and go back because they haven't got the mindset, the energy to understand that this is a money, this is an opportunity, this can change my life. So it's not people's fault, it's just how energy works. Naturally, you will always attract to that energy, and people want the good life, they want success, they want money, but their energy doesn't have the understanding to get them out. So as you said, wish people stopped doing that. It's easier said than done when you say people, because it's like we all have choice, which we do, but choice is based on what's around us. And then, as I said, energy is so powerful that you can have a choice to have this new job or whatever, but if your mindset is doing that with those types of people, that's going to be that's what you're made up of, and you can't change that foundation of energy and and family morals and attitude and lifestyle and culture. It's not possible.
Yes, it's very difficult. I just thought of something really good when you were talking about that, and I've suddenly forgot. It'll come back to me. What I was thinking was also when you think about, say, the success that you want, thinking of actually having it is actually scary, because you do have to put in a lot of work, say, and having it, feeling what it would be like in its reality actually also scares a lot of people, so they just choose to stick with what they know as well.
Exactly. So like, people are in debt, but they've got their friends, their family, they've got they go see football matches, they watch TV with their friends. That's a foundation, that's like firm, that's guaranteed. As long as they pay the bills and they pay their rent, then this exists. But when you want to be successful, you don't want the rent, you have to sacrifice friendships. You've got a big house, but then you've got no friends to put anyone in it. So it's like, well, I sacrificed one to gain another. Was that worth it? And I want to have my own talk show in America. I want to take over Jimmy Fallon's talk show or James Corden's talk show in about 3 years' time. Now, that's
I love James Corden.
that's a huge goal, right? But I look at the alternative: getting a job, going to work, coming home tired, getting up, going to work, and then the weekend you do something, but you're too tired to do anything, so you just do fuck all. That's how I look at it. I have nothing to lose by chasing that dream, because the alternative is what's existing now. It's what all my friends are doing, it's what everyone else is already doing. So you have nothing to lose but to dream. But it's just like, the reality is, can I get there? What do you need to get there? It's not just about having looks, it's about being able to have fun with the director and be versatile. And their skills, their skills, it's most people, like 30% in the industry only have. The 70% really don't get it. It's just like fame, they don't get it. It's so much more. It's a job, but you're just recognized, and it's no different to any other job. You've got to work with people, there's branding, there's sales, but you're the product, as opposed to a pencil case or a bag of Doritos. So yeah, when you think about having this lifestyle, it can be scary for most people. Not for me. I've envisioned this my whole damn life, right? But again,
I'm not afraid of it either. It's just something that comes with the job that you want to do, really, but it's not actually you, it's just your job.
It's like, it's not you, it's the brand of your face. It's not you as a person. People don't know you as a person. Like, when you're in that studio and you're talking in front of that camera, there's only 7 people there. That's no different to doing a presentation at the office in a normal job. It's just that when you go out on the streets, people recognize you. So as long as you don't buy into this fame, I'm amazing, they love me, and it's just simply, you recognize a product in a store, I like Doritos, I'm going to buy Doritos, then you are grounded with fame and success. It's when you buy into it and start thinking, I'm amazing. If you don't understand the business side to it, you'll fuck yourself up, which is why so many people can't cope with the fame, because they went into it for the wrong reasons. And often it goes back to when they were at school, they wanted to be this person different to their other friends. They saw themselves as different or better, and so they had to create a character like Lady Gaga and Katy Perry with her big red hair. You want to be different because you're not the same, so you create this persona, and then you become successful. And like Lady Gaga, you take off the steak outfit, you take off the blonde wig, and you become you, which is what everyone wanted in the first place at school, to be themselves. But in order to be yourself, you've got to be someone else to show you're not the sheep.
To do all that,
you've got to stand out, and then you make it, and then you become you. which is why a lot of people end up having different hairstyles, wearing differently to show that I'm not the same as that fucking idiot at school. And yeah, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do, definitely. And it's funny, I'm just thinking it, like events and things with Fashion Week, for example, like you see people who are actors and they're very well known and they're very down to earth, very easy to talk to, so friendly, and they'll actually give you the time of day. And then you see the other kind of people at these events that are wanting the attention, they're wanting the fame, and they're, you can just see their energy. It's just so different, and you want to run from it because it's just like they will not even talk to you. They won't acknowledge your presence. But the other people who are quite well known will acknowledge everyone's presence. Anyone that will go to talk to them, they'll be very nice. But then the other people, like, I won't go into like the types of people they are, but I know you would know what I mean. But they're just, yeah, just wanting everything themselves. They just want to be seen there with their own validation, you know?
Yeah, like Tom Hanks was the
Like
first
it's
person
not
that
for
went.
their job.
Yeah, like Tom Hanks was the first person that did James Corden's talk show. James Corden was big in the UK, right? But in America, no one knew him, right? And
Yeah.
no one knew who he was, right? So they needed to get him out there. And so they knew that once you get one Hollywood star coming, they all come, right? It's just a domino
Yes.
effect.
Yeah,
But it's
it
like,
is.
who do we get in order for people to come on the show? And Tom Hanks came on the show. He was the first guest on the show, right? And of course, Tom Hanks is like the biggest star in Hollywood, right? So if he comes, they all come. But it's amazing what you're saying is that the people who've made it, they get it. And you get it through love and harmony. And I'm no different to you. It's just the job. And I happen to be good at this job, right? And if you give people time of the day, things happen. So, you know, Tom gave James the time of the day. He gave him his shot. Otherwise, the program would have sunk. And then every fucking celebrity now is friends of James Corden.
Wanting
Every
to be
damn
on that.
celebrity. Billie
Yeah.
Eilish, every David Beckham, like everyone, because Tom Hanks gave him the time of the day. As you said, these big actors, they've been there. They know how hard it was. They were in your position trying to network, and they had to go through tricks. Were like thinking they're big I am and don't talk to me. But those people fade away. They don't. They get their
Oh, they
shot now,
definitely
and
do.
it doesn't
They
go.
go nowhere. Yeah. Oh, it's interesting you say that. It is, everything is literally just a flow-on effect from your actions, and your thoughts create those actions.
It's true.
And
You
you got to
don't
put
know.
yourself out there, but just let it happen. I mean, some things, like with events, I've thought, oh, I'm so tired. I've been at one day, I remember, I think I had like 6 or 7 things on, and I thought, you know, it's the last one, and it's, you know, an English winter. I want to go home. And then the last one ended up being the best. I met all these people. They helped me for like 2 more years after that. So
Exactly. Like,
yeah,
you don't know who's watching, who's listening, who's tuning in, who
exactly.
is. People are observing everyone at every point, and they are thinking, oh, she's a nice person to speak to. Oh, maybe he can help me. Or they're naturally gravitating to you based on energy. So you may be the prettiest girl in the room, but if your energy is negative, they will just get this bad feeling and they won't want to be there, or they will go elsewhere
Exactly.
because there's a stronger energy there. So by keeping your energy levels the same and high and positive, even though you've all had a shit day, been on set for fucking hours and hours and hours, okay, people see that and they also feel it. And then when everyone else's energy starts to drop, the positive people go in hiding. But if your energy is still frequent and vibrating on the high frequency, they're
Yep.
naturally going to be drawn to you, or they'll physically go and see that person's happy and good looking. I'm going to go speak to her because all these other fucking idiots are negative and they're moaning and blah, 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 blah. So it's so important to always be on a high frequency, because anyone who can help anyone in this world is a high frequency, and they only want to be around people
Yeah,
on a
exactly.
high frequency. Like, you won't get Bill Gates and
Exactly.
Steve Jobs or whatever hanging around some negative twat. They want to be around positive people, and they get the fact that 99% of people are negative. So they're looking, even though you can't see them, because how are you supposed to know that that one person out of 99 in the calf is on a high vibration? So they're looking at you. If they see you are a high frequency, they get it. They know how it works. Who do you know? Because I'm on this frequency with you. And you don't know who's watching. You don't know who's observing, who's watching. Always imagine you're on camera. Like, even though there's no cameras, always imagine you're on a live Big Brother camera and that someone's watching. Some agent is watching the Big Brother, okay? And they're thinking, God, she's amazing. She can do this, or she can do that. But when you drop your energy and think, oh, fuck, I want to go home, been here all day, people have been like, oh, I don't want her, or I don't want her. So imagine someone's always watching, Big Brother, whatever, and they're an agent for another job. And like that, just like that's really powerful. I just made that up, but it's really powerful.
No, but it is. And just going the extra mile really helps. And if you really feel like it's the right thing to do, if you feel like you should do it, then you do it. And that's exactly what I did for that, I remember. But generally, if people feel good around you, they're going to want to continue being in your presence, and then therefore help you, or just creates friendships, just helps you as well.
That's the thing, like, you know, this like celebrity club of celebrities are friends of celebrities. Well, actually, celebrities have more non-celebrity friends than celebrities. They may collaborate and do a film, whatever, but all their people around them, they're not famous, right? And they don't hang out with celebrity people. Why? Because they're doing their own shit. And often celebs want to be the one who are leading, dominating, attention of the pack, the ones who are in charge. When you're with another celebrity with other status, you're trying to compete like two comedians in a room. You're trying to compete to get the attention and the laughter. So you don't want to be there. Hence why a good-looking girl will always go out with an ugly person, because it makes her look, like really good-looking in reflection, So yeah, like celebrities aren't. So the reason why celebs would be friends with celebs isn't because they're celebrities; it's because they're on the same frequency.
Exactly,
they've got the same vision,
true.
the same energy. And if they didn't have the same energy and frequency, you could be as famous as you want to be. If you've not got the same frequency off camera, they won't be there. So it's not celebrity, it's energy again.
It is. And it's an understanding of each other's lives. You're both in that strange lifestyle where it's all like so many long hours, so many different things happening to you. It's like a bit of a dream, really. So I guess they would be friends with other celebrities because of that. But you are right. You do have to have that same frequency, because otherwise it could just turn into something toxic or competitive. I actually heard a lot of tennis players aren't friends, professional tennis players, because of the competition. They have to compete against one another, so it's too difficult to be friends unless after they retire. But especially because they're playing for so much money too. It's like $1 million prize money, for example. Like, how are you going to be friends with someone who beat you at that? You'd feel bad to beat your friend, but you also really want to win. Like, that's just very difficult.
That's why I think about Serena Williams and Venus Williams. How the fuck do they continuously play against each other for the Grand Slam or the money? Like, how can they have this love but yet this competition? But again, that's all they've ever known. But you watch things like Homeland, right? And they're doing a mission on Netflix, and they're doing a mission, and the mission is to kill this person or to rob this person or whatever. But if you've created an emotional attachment to that person or feelings to that person, it affects the mission. And so they can't be friends because their own survival, their own family lands on this competition being won and the money. Whereas if you're going down the pub and you're friendly and you know that person's family's got disease and they've losing their mortgage and they've got bills to pay, you're gonna make him homeless. So if you don't know about that because you're not friends, then again, it's your own survival. It's one before two. When one's okay, then it's two. So yeah, it's best not to know. Like on Homeland, it's a shooter last night, the person says a mission based on emotion is a mission failed. It's true. If you start befriending all your staff who are supposed to run your business, you can't have your authoritative figure with them. You can't tell them what to do because 1 minute you're being friendly and let's go to the pub, and then it's, can you do this please by this time? Why did you not do that? You're fired. And then you know that they've got bills to pay and they're going to be homeless. So if you start befriending people, hence why I'm all about personal and business, don't mix the two.
Yeah, it would skew your decision making.
It fucks everything up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting, but it's true. It sucks, but it is true when it comes to things like business and your work. Like, I mean, unless you can be friends genuinely, it can be very hard.
I've
And
worked
then
in
it can make you not do so well either.
I've worked in a restaurant where all the people and all the managers were all friends, and the restaurant went to shit because there was no managing with the
Yeah.
staff, right? Because we're all on the same level. You see them as friends. You go to the pub afterwards, but yet for the business and the customers and how things are run, it's you can't tell people what to do because you're on the same level as them. And often those people were just normal staff who've become manager. So we were all friends anyway, and then you've become the manager. And so manager needs to tell these people to do this and do that. Otherwise it goes to shit. And that's why it's very important that if you cross business and pleasure, you need to choose one or the other, like love, friendship, relationships, or not. Hence why a lot of like top CEOs, if they have like relationships with one of their staff, one has to move jobs because you can't. That chain of command is broken.
It
So
is.
again, choose wisely between business and pleasure because it will affect you financially and you, relationshiply, whatever. Because it's the same thing. I'm very strict with business and pleasure because I see how things can just fall apart and
Yeah.
yeah.
I agree. And like if you were working at the restaurant and you said to your boss who's your friend, "Oh, I'm gonna take tomorrow off, I'm gonna be hungover or something," and usually they'll be like, "Yeah, whatever," but they say, "No, you can't," or "Hi, can you come in early today?" And it's like, "No, I can't," but you kind of
Absolutely.
just lose your friendship because you're taking away
Absolutely.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, like you feel pressure to say yes because he, as a friend, is going to struggle in his job. But as a
Yeah.
business, if he's fucking struggling, he should be managing properly, go above, ask for more help from the general manager. So it's like they put all the weight on you because you're friends. So it's help a friend out. And it's actually, well, hang on a sec, this is happening because we're friends. And your life would be better if you could manage us if we weren't friends. So it's actually the main reason why so many companies fail because everyone's on the same level and you need different levels for different reasons. It's because the
Yeah.
chain of command, it can only work that way. And if you're friends with them, you lose that authority. And without authority, you're just fucking cows running around loose in a field, like without a shepherd leading them to the barn.
Yeah. Yeah, I even know people who are like in relationships with each other, like romantic relationships, and they're trying to do business together. And yeah, sometimes it might work, but I totally disagree. I mean, when you go to bed at night, you're going to be talking about you want to come home sometimes, talk about how your day was at work, but it's like it was with them. And I think if you have issues running a business or something, you're never going to actually have personal time together. It's just going to be always about the business, and
And business
just
problems come
causes
home.
worse things. Yeah,
Business problems
exactly.
come home. So rather than discussing the issue the next day at work, because it's on your mind, you can't get it off your mind until you speak about it. So if your boss was leaving at 5 o'clock, you couldn't call him and be like, "So by the way, as you're eating your dinner, I think we should be doing this." He'll be like, "Fuck off, it's closed, office is closed." Whereas if your husband is, for example, the part of the team, then you'll speak to him then. But then that cycle will always continue. There's always going to be something to talk about. So rather than speaking about sex and love and TV and let's go for food next week, you're speaking about, John didn't put the paperwork in the right place. Fucking John, I know I shouldn't have trusted him. And
Yeah.
then like
So they'll do that at night during your time where you should be unwinding.
exactly, because now it's on his mind and he can't let it go. And because he's friends with fucking John, he messages John on Facebook and says, "John, can you put that paper back?" And it's in John's car. John gets out of bed to go to the car. He's like, "John, you're not getting paid to go out of bed or to go to the car. You're not getting paid to walk to the car. You're off book." And so again, stuff gets done out of hours and no one's getting paid for it, but they feel pressure to do it. And then it's a disaster. Honestly, it's like a sinkhole.
Yeah, it is. Totally agree with that. You cannot be happy or even positive. Like, it's just going to cause such negative energy as well and just make things worse and go more downhill.
And it's like, if this person is going to be like a serious relationship type of person in the future, like if they're serious, is it worth losing your job? Then the answer is yes. But if it's just a sexual attraction or a fling, or you don't really have much in common, but you know you like them, is it worth the job? Because every time you go through life in jobs, there's going to be so many people you find hot, so many people you have a laugh with, but they're not really compatible in terms of foundation and relationships. So is it worth losing this opportunity? Because then you have to remove yourself from this industry or whatever, just to make peace. And if it isn't, this person is serious, it's not worth it, because there's always going to be a colleague you fancy in the office, and it's not worth it. So again, business and pleasure, choose one or the other if it's going to be worth it, or would you regret it if you didn't? But apart from that, don't like, just try and, like, as I said, because you see them as people and friends, it's really easy just to like go for a drink and have sex or whatever. But reality is that you've not got to work with this person. They're your colleague. You've got to tell them to do this and tell them off if they've done it wrong, and they don't like being told off by a friend, but then it's affecting you by not telling them. You've got to give that table those chips. Where are those chips? I fucking told you, chips, table 20. And then it affects everything, and it ruins the relationships. But then you're not really friends anyway, because you're only going out for work, going out for drinks because they're there. And actually, in real life, I'm not friends with any of the people I worked with, because there was no connection in the first place. You just connected as people there. So again, is it worth it? Like, friends are there because you have a connection. And you can't. I've realized that you have, like, say, like the 5 main friends forever. You can always get new people to do things with, but in terms of friends, they're really like the same friends, like, since you're 18. It's only like 5 or something, like, when you think about it.
There's only very few that you would have for a long time that know you so well and you know them so well. Like, they're like family, though. Those I would see them as. But do you think people come into your life, like with the whole law of attraction topic, do you think they come into your life just for a short amount of time, just to fix something, or maybe redirect you in a certain way, and then they leave?
So what I've realized is
or they stay.
So what I've realized is that you can think about things and thoughts and aspects, for example, to someone, right? For example, I had this vision of this girl, right? And because I wanted that to be the one, okay, because that's like me. So the vision of this girl was about, you know, they can do accents, they can sing, they can dance, they're entrepreneurial, they're ambitious, they can do this and that, because that's what I'm like. So I put out those thoughts. I came across this person on Tinder, and I'm like, oh my God, this is the one. Oh my fucking shit. We were speaking for
was
ages.
She speaking in a Scottish accent?
Yeah, we were speaking for ages, right? And I won't get to too much detail because it's personal detail. But I thought maybe this is the one. Okay, to cut a long story short, we didn't get together. We only met a few times. And what I realized is that even though the one may have these traits, and I will eventually attract the one who has these traits, I also attracted the same traits in someone else. So my thoughts and frequencies attracted this person because they had those thoughts and frequencies and traits, but they weren't necessarily the one. Whereas the one I have, for example, may have those traits or more, or they may be more similar to me in terms of how I think without these traits. So to your question, do we attract people based on, what was the question? Do you
think some people come into your life just to, like, put you back on your course?
Yeah, so basically we are always attracting people based on our thoughts. So as I said, I was thinking about these traits, this person came. I wanted love and relationship, but I simply just attracted her because of thoughts. So if you're thinking about all these people, they will come into your life if they are that frequency. So if that personality is that thought frequency, you will attract them. They may come like this person did, and you think they're here for a reason, and they're not. Like, I learned more about myself from this person. So I thought it was going to be love, but I learned more about myself, and I changed as a person massively. So these people come into your life, you may think they will stay. The chances are, from experience, all these people that have come into my life based on thoughts, 100% have disappeared. 100% have gone, because they come, they give me something that I didn't even realize I was looking for, and they go. So I could say, well, I'd want them to stay because I want this person to be like this, so I can go out for dinner with this happy, positive person. But then just because you want that doesn't mean that that's what's meant for you. So many people come into your life based on thoughts, they give